The Galactic Council chamber was silent, not the normal silence of respect, but the kind that came from fear. Before them, on the large holographic display, floated a single rusting ship. Its metal surface was old, scarred, and covered in deep marks of radiation. Yet somehow it still moved, slowly, steadily, like a ghost that refused to die. Councillor Thren, a tall reptilian with silver scales, finally spoke. "What? Is that?" The technician's hands shook as he replied. It's human, sir. The design matches the Terran War era, but it should be impossible. Humanity was destroyed 300 years ago." Whispers filled the chamber. The word human still carried weight, fear, respect, and old memories of war. On the screen, the ship's name could barely be read through the rust and damage. The Dauntless. It drifted silently across the dark edge of the Varnis system, without lights, without escort, but every few minutes it sent out a strange, repeating signal. No coordinates, no language, just 3 haunting words. "We remember." The council head, a being of light named Solarin, turned to the others. "And 3 centuries, not one trace of them, and now this. They could not have survived," said another. "Earth burned, their fleets were shattered, but the signal," Solarin whispered, "it is real." The council ordered a probe to investigate. A sleek silver drone launched from the nearest defense station and approached the ship slowly. The Dauntless did not respond. It looked dead, lifeless, but as the probe drew closer, something strange happened. Its sensors flickered. Then static. The connection was lost. "Re-establish the link," shouted the technician. "I can't," he cried. "It's gone. The probe, it's gone." The council members looked at each other in fear. Solarin's form dimmed slightly, a sign of stress. "Is there any energy source aboard?" The technician hesitated. "Yes, but it's not fusion, not plasma, not anything we know. It's older. Like something from before the Council's time." The hologram zoomed in closer. Beneath the rust and broken panels, a faint blue light pulsed like a heartbeat. "Impossible," Thren muttered. "No ship that old should have power. What keeps it alive?" No one answered. Then, for the first time, the signal changed. The transmission grew louder, clearer. It wasn't just noise anymore. It was a voice, a human voice, deep, calm, unmistakably alive. "We remember what you did." Every light in the council chamber flickered. "We remember who you are." And then silence. The hologram crackled, and a new image appeared, not of the ship, but of a human face. The man looked old, with grey eyes and a scar running down his cheek. His expression was calm, almost peaceful. "We are not gone," the voice said. "We are coming back." The image faded. The transmission ended. The council room erupted in panic. "We must destroy it," shouted Thren. "Now before more appear." "Wait," said Solarin. "If one survived, others could too." "And if others survived," another whispered, "then the old stories were true." The room fell quiet again. Everyone remembered those stories, the Terran Wars, the humans, small, fragile creatures who had once stood against the combined power of half the galaxy. They fought with passion, with rage, with something the Council never understood: hope. They should have been wiped out. They should have died. But now, one ship still lived. Solarin floated closer to the image. "The Dauntless," he said softly. "It was their final ship in the war. They said it vanished in the Orion graveyard." "Perhaps it didn't vanish," Thren growled. "Perhaps it hid." Solarin turned toward the technician. "Track its path. Where did it come from?" The technician worked fast, scanning the ship's vector. But what he found made his hands freeze mid-air. "Sir, the Dauntless didn't come from anywhere. It came through something." "Through? A rift, a temporal fold. It came from another time." The room went cold. Solarin whispered, "Another time? Do you mean—" "Yes. The Dauntless came from the past. No one spoke for a long moment. The galaxy outside seemed to hold its breath. Then, on the display, the ship moved again. It turned slowly toward the Council's star system. Its engines, long thought dead, began to glow with a soft, eerie light. Is it attacking? No, it's just facing us. The technicians zoomed in. Through the ship's front window they saw movement, faint shadows walking among the dead consoles. Someone, or something, was alive inside. And then the final transmission came through. The same voice, calm, confident. To the Council of Worlds, humanity remembers everything. Then the ship's engines flared, and the Dauntless vanished into the blackness. No jump signature, no trace. Gone, Solarin stood motionless. "Prepare a search fleet," he said at last. "Find that ship," Thren hissed. "And if we find it," Solarin's light dimmed further, "then may the stars help us all." Outside, the galaxy turned silently, unaware that something ancient had just awakened, and somewhere, far beyond, known space, more signals began to whisper across the void. "We remember. We remember. We remember." The Dauntless drifted through the cold dark of space. Its surface was cracked and rusted, but deep inside, hidden under layers of old steel, something was waking up. A single red light blinked in the command chamber. Then another, then a voice, mechanical yet gentle, spoke in the silence. "Cryogenic sequence. Complete. Crew revival beginning." The ship's frozen halls filled with the soft hum of power returning after centuries. Frost cracked and fell from walls as oxygen filled the air again. In one of the pods, a woman's eyes opened. Her name was Captain Mira Reyes, last commander of the Terran Defense Fleet. Her breath came out as white mist. Her mind was foggy, memories broken like shattered glass. She remembered the war, the Council's betrayal, the fire that consumed Earth's sky, and then nothing. "Echo," she whispered, her voice weak. "Status report." The AI's voice answered, calm as always. "Captain Reyes, welcome back. You have been in cryostasis for 312 years, 7 months and 9 days. Mira sat up, her heart pounding. 300 years. "Yes, Captain. The Dauntless has maintained orbit in a hidden zone until recent awakening protocols were triggered." Mira looked around. Half the cryopods were empty. Some were broken. Some had bodies that never woke again. She stood slowly, feeling the cold floor beneath her bare feet. "How many survivors?" 12, including you." Her chest tightened. Thousands had boarded this ship before the final battle. Now only 12 remained. "What triggered revival?" she asked. External scan detected nearby power sources and unknown Council transmissions. Standard return protocol engaged. Mira frowned. "The Council?" "Yes, Captain. The Galactic Council still exists." She clenched her fists. "Then they'll come for us." Echo paused for a moment before replying. "Probability of detection, 97%. We are already being watched." Far away in the Council's observation station, alarms flashed. "Energy spike detected on the Dauntless," shouted an officer. "It's alive." Councillor Thren's tail lashed the floor. "Impossible. That ship should be dead." But on the screen, thermal readings confirmed it. Life signs, human life signs. "Open a channel," said Solarin, his glowing form flickering with curiosity. "Try to communicate before the situation escalates." The message was sent, but the Dauntless did not answer. Inside the ship, Mira watched as Echo replayed the signal. "They're calling us. They think we're ghosts," she said bitterly. "Do you wish to respond, Captain?" She thought for a long moment. Then she shook her head. "No. Let them wonder." Echo's lights pulsed softly. "There is something else you should see, Captain." The AI projected a hologram in the air, a rotating map of the galaxy. Dozens of red dots appeared across it. "What are those?" Human sleeper ships, like the Dauntless, scattered across deep space. Their systems remained dormant. Mira stared at the glowing map, feeling both awe and sorrow. So, we're not the only ones left. No, Captain, there are others, and your signal, the message we remember, has already awakened at least 4 of them. Mira's heart raced. That means humanity might still live. Nah, correction, Echo replied. Humanity will return. Back in the council chamber, fear was spreading fast. Reports came from distant systems, unknown signals repeating the same phrase, "We remember." Solarin called an emergency meeting. "We are facing something we do not understand," he said. "These signals are activating dormant beacons across multiple sectors. If humanity still exists, they are organizing," Thren growled. "They must be destroyed before they rebuild their fleets." Another counselor spoke nervously. "And if they have already rebuilt?" No one answered. On the Dauntless, Mira stood before the main viewport. Outside, the stars looked different, brighter, colder. 3 centuries of time had passed, but her ship, her people, still carried the fire of humanity. She walked to the central console. "Echo, access final command file, Project Reclaim." The AI hesitated. "Captain, that file is locked under pre-war emergency protocols. It requires your DNA and verbal confirmation." Mira placed her hand on the scanner. "Reyes, Mira, Command Clearance 77 Alpha." The console glowed blue. A file opened, revealing a short message recorded centuries ago. Her own voice, younger and determined, spoke from the past. "If you're hearing this, then we survived. Earth may fall, but humanity will not die. The plan is simple: sleep, rebuild, and return when they least expect it. Trust Echo, trust the Dauntless. The stars still belong to us." Mira's throat tightened. She looked at Echo. "Is the plan still possible?" "With enough ships, yes. But time is limited. The Council has detected our signal. They will come. Then we move first," she said. "Activate long-range transmitters. Send the call to all human vessels." "Message content?" Mira looked out into the darkness and spoke slowly. "To all Terran survivors, wake up, the galaxy forgot us. It's time they remember." Echo transmitted the signal. A low hum filled the ship as ancient systems powered up across distant stars. Other ships began to stir, their lights flickering, their frozen crews awakening after centuries of sleep. The age of silence was ending. Humanity's lost legacy was no longer lost. As the Dauntless turned toward the nearest jump point, Mira whispered, "Let them see what happens when you try to erase humanity." Behind her, the ship's engines roared to life for the first time in 300 years. The Dauntless vanished into hyperspace, leaving only one final signal echoing across the galaxy: "We remember." The Dauntless was no longer silent. For the first time in 3 centuries, her engines glowed with blue fire as she cut through the emptiness of deep space. Inside, Captain Mira Reyes stood before the command console, watching the signal spread across the galaxy like ripples in a black ocean. Echo's voice filled the bridge. "Transmission complete. Signal strength confirmed across 142 sectors." Mira nodded. "Any response?" "Not yet, but long-range sensors show movement in several dormant human zones. Wake-up protocols are activating." She let out a slow breath. "Then it begins. Far away, on dozens of alien worlds, communications officers froze at their stations. A single message appeared across all frequencies, old, encrypted in human code. 3 simple words: "We remember everything." Every major council world received it. Every system heard it, and with it came something stranger, an energy pattern no one could trace. On the Council's main world, panic began to grow. Councillor Thren slammed his claws on the table. "Block the signal. Shut it down before it spreads." A nervous officer stammered, "We can't, sir. It's bouncing through relic satellites, even ones from before the Council era." Solarin's form flickered brighter. "They planned this long ago. The humans left a network buried inside our systems," Thren hissed. "They were exterminated." Solarin turned toward him. Apparently. They're back on the Dauntless. The ship shook slightly as energy systems rerouted power to long-range arrays. Mira watched the readings rise. Echo, how long before they locate us? Minutes, Captain. The signal cannot be hidden. Good, she said with a faint smile. Let them see us. She walked to the viewport. The stars stretched before her, endless and cold. I fought for humanity once, she whispered, and I'll do it again. Across the galaxy, strange things began to happen. Old space stations, abandoned for centuries, powered on. Deep under alien oceans, human beacons flickered to life. And in forgotten asteroid fields, sleeping war machines opened their eyes. Each one carried the same message. Carved into their core code, wait for the signal. Now, it had come. On the Council's defense world, Admiral Kirath, a massive insectoid warrior, stared at the data stream. This isn't just a message, he said, tapping the screen. It's a map. Solarin turned sharply. A map to what? To human sleeper fleets, Kirath replied. It's calling them home. The room fell silent. They all remembered the end of the Terran Wars, how humans had fought until their planets burned, how even in defeat they refused surrender. Solarin whispered, if the Terrans return, the balance of the galaxy will shatter. Thren leaned forward. Then we must strike first. Meanwhile, Mira was in the Dauntless's strategy room. The holographic display showed thousands of red lights blinking across the stars. Those are the sleeper ships? She asked. Confirmed, Captain. Each contains a cryogenic crew and pre-war technology. Most systems are still functional. Can we wake them all? Not yet. The Council's signal blockers are interfering with long-range commands. We must move closer. Mira studied the map, her eyes hard. Set course for the Orion graveyard. That's where the first human fleet disappeared. Course locked. Jump in 60 seconds. Echo paused before continuing. Captain, this action will confirm to the Council that humans still exist. Are you certain? Mira smiled coldly. They already know, Echo. It's time they remember why they feared us. The Dauntless jumped. Space folded around it, and for a moment, everything went white. When the stars reappeared, they were in a graveyard of broken ships. Thousands of metal corpses floated in silence, wrecks from the final war. Scan for power signatures, Mira ordered, detecting faint activity aboard several hulls. Wait, Captain, something's responding to our signal. On the view screen, 3 massive shapes began to glow deep within the debris. Human ships, ancient but alive, their hulls lit up with old Terran markings, HSS Vengeance, HSS Titan, HSS Arcadia. Mira felt her throat tighten. They made it. Incoming transmission, said Echo. The screen flickered. A figure appeared, an older man in a battered uniform, his face lit by red emergency lights. This is Commodore Hale of the Arcadia. The Dauntless, you actually woke us? Mira smiled faintly. Yes, sir. Humanity's not done yet, the man laughed in a deep, tired laugh. Then it's true. We remember. The connection cut, but it was enough. 3 warships turned their engines toward the Dauntless. Their lights brightened. Their weapons powered up. Humanity was gathering again. Back at the Council chamber, alarms screamed. New human signatures detected. Multiple warships activating in the Orion sector. Thren's voice shook with rage. They were supposed to be dust. Solarin whispered, dust can rise again. He turned toward his generals. Send a warning to all member worlds. The Terrans have returned. On the Dauntless, Mira stood at the front of the bridge as the fleet formed behind her. Tired ships, rusted armor, but inside them, something more powerful than any weapon, the will to survive. Echo, she said softly, send one more message. Content? Mira's eyes glowed with determination. To the Council of Worlds, tell them we do not seek war, but we will not kneel. Echo transmitted it. The message echoed through the stars, firm, clear, unstoppable. Humanity remembers its fall. Humanity remembers its pain, and now, humanity remembers its purpose. As the human fleet turned toward the core systems, the stars seemed to tremble. The galaxy that once buried humanity had just awakened its oldest nightmare, and far away, hidden deep within Council archives, an ancient prophecy flickered back to life. When the rusted ships rise again, the galaxy will remember fear. The stars above the Orion graveyard glowed faintly, reflecting off the broken ships that floated in eternal silence. But now that silence was ending. 3 ancient human warships, the Vengeance, Titan, and Arcadia, had awakened. Their engines hummed with life for the first time in centuries. Inside the Dauntless, Captain Mira Reyes watched the massive vessels align with her ship's trajectory. Her reflection glimmered in the glass, tired eyes, but burning with purpose. Echo's calm voice filled the bridge. "Fleet formation complete. All ships ready for transmission sequence." Mira nodded. "Begin countdown." "Countdown initiated. Transmission will begin in 60 seconds. The words countdown echoed in the air, and every surviving crew member knew this was the moment humanity returned to history. On the Council homeworld of Zareth Prime, red warning lights flooded the chamber. Solarin's glowing form flickered violently. "What is this?" he demanded. A panicked technician shouted, "A human signal is spreading through every communications line. It's rewriting our defense network." Councillor Thren slammed his claws on the table. "Block it!" "We can't," the technician cried. "It's using our own satellites." Solarin turned toward the holographic map. A wave of human code was spreading like fire across the stars. Each time a new world was infected, a faint human voice whispered through the static. "We are coming home," Thren hissed. "They are taunting us." Solarin replied quietly, "No, they are announcing themselves." Back aboard the Dauntless, the signal reached its peak. Echo's voice deepened slightly as systems strained to hold the growing power. "Transmission energy exceeding safe limit. Should I abort?" Mira shook her head. "No, let it finish. This is what they need to hear." The floor trembled as the main antenna extended from the ship's hull, an old Terran device called a quantum resonator. Its purpose, to reach every human ship still in stasis, no matter how far. 30 seconds to completion, Echo said. Mira stood straight, staring at the stars. Behind her, the crew worked silently. No fear, no hesitation, just belief. Across deep space, more ships began to awaken. Small scout vessels, medical transports, even colony arcs that never reached their destinations. Cryopods opened. Humans gasped their first breaths in centuries. They looked around, confused, but when they heard the message from the Dauntless, they understood. "This is Captain Mira Reyes of the Terran Defense Fleet. Humanity endures. Follow the signal. Find your way home." For the first time in hundreds of years, the name human echoed again across the galaxy. The Council's military command was in chaos. Hundreds of fleet commanders shouted orders, trying to track the expanding wave. "It's not just a signal," one officer yelled. "It's activating old Terran beacons. Ancient outposts are powering up everywhere." Solarin hovered closer to the main display. "Show me." The map zoomed out. Every corner of the galaxy was lighting up, one red beacon after another. Within minutes, thousands of lights pulsed together, forming a massive shape across the stars. Solarin stared in disbelief. "It's their symbol," he whispered. "The mark of humanity." The stars themselves were now part of the Terran banner. Thren growled, "They are mocking us with their dead flag." But Solarin saw something else. Precision, strategy, planning. "This isn't mockery," he said softly. "It's coordination." He turned to his aides. "How long before their fleets can reach Council space?" "Unknown, sir. But the signal has a timer embedded inside." "It's counting down." Solarin's light dimmed. "Counting down to what?" On the Dauntless, Echo announced the final phase. "Transmission complete. Countdown initiated. 7 days until full synchronization." Mira frowned. "Synchronization with what?" "Unknown. The message was encoded in your command file before cryostasis. I'm unlocking the data now." The lights on the bridge flickered as the AI processed ancient files. Then a small hologram appeared, a younger Mira, recorded before the fall of Earth. If the Dauntless wakes and humanity still survives, the recording said, then Project Horizon is still active. In 7 days, the gate will open. Earth will return, the crew gasped. Mira's hand trembled. Echo, she said slowly, is it true? Could Earth still exist? Affirmative. Sensor readings confirm a massive temporal field near Sol system. The planet may have been hidden, not destroyed. Mira's eyes widened. They didn't burn us. They buried us. And the gate will open in 7 days, Echo said. At the same time, the Council finally cracked the human transmission. It's a timer, shouted a scientist. Something is going to happen when it reaches 0. Thren hissed, then we destroy them before it does. Solarin stared at the timer. It was simple. 7 days and counting down second by second. What happens in 7 days? He whispered. No one knew, but deep within the hidden region near Old Sol, something ancient began to stir. The darkness around Earth shifted, like the slow opening of an eye. On the Dauntless, Mira stared at the holographic Earth, still beautiful, still waiting. Her voice was calm, but heavy with emotion. We have 7 days, she said. 7 days to prepare. When the gate opens, the galaxy will see what we became. The crew nodded. Echo's lights dimmed. And the Council? Mira looked at the stars and whispered, let them come. They think we're ghosts. In 7 days, they'll learn ghosts can fight. Far away, the countdown continued to echo through the galaxy. Every human ship, every beacon, every sleeping AI repeated the same message. 7 days until return. 7 days until dawn. And in the cold silence between stars, the galaxy began to fear again. The galaxy waited in silence. Across 1,000 worlds, the human signal kept repeating, a countdown echoing through every communication channel. 6 days, 5 days, 4 days, until return. The Council called it terror propaganda. But deep inside, every species that remembered the old wars felt the same quiet fear. The humans, the species that refused extinction, were coming back. On the Council world of Zareth Prime, panic had replaced order. Fleets were being recalled. War factories ran day and night. The Senate chambers glowed red with emergency lights as Councillor Thren slammed his claws on the table. They are rebuilding, he shouted. Do you not see? Every day the signal grows stronger. Solarin floated calmly beside him, his glowing form dimmed with worry. Attacking them now would be foolish, he said. We don't know their full strength. Thren bared his teeth. You speak of fear, not logic. Solarin's voice deepened. Fear is logic when dealing with humans. The room went silent. Meanwhile, far beyond Council space, the Dauntless and the awakened Terran Fleet gathered at the edge of a dark nebula. More ships were arriving every hour, some large and majestic, others broken and scarred from old wars. Inside the command deck, Captain Mira Reyes stood at the central console. The holographic map displayed thousands of red lights, each one a human ship answering the call. Echo's voice was steady and calm. Fleet strength now exceeds 2,000 vessels. Signal synchronization complete. Countdown. 3 days until gate activation. Mira stared at the glowing dots, survivors from every forgotten corner of the stars. Farmers, soldiers, scientists, all descendants of the lost Earth, she whispered, after 300 years. We're finally not alone. Humanity adapts, Echo replied softly. It always has. Then came the transmission. A council broadcast, open and public. Solarin's voice filled the bridge. To the human commander of the Dauntless, we recognize your existence. The galaxy has changed. We seek peace. Mira narrowed her eyes. Peace? She said quietly. After burning our world? Echo monitored the transmission. Analysis, 73% probability of deception. Mira crossed her arms. And 27% chance of truth. That's new for them, she sighed. Patch me through. Her voice echoed through every council channel. This is Captain Mira Reyes of the Terran Defense Fleet. Peace begins with honesty. You claimed humanity was extinct. You lied. We don't seek war, but we won't kneel again. There was silence for a long time. Then Solarin replied quietly, "Perhaps. The galaxy forgot who you were. Maybe it's time to remember. But not everyone in the Council wanted peace. Deep in the shadows, Thren and a group of military officers activated a secret plan, Project Eclipse. Their goal, destroy the human gate before it opened. A hidden armada began to gather near the Sol system, armed with a weapon capable of collapsing a star. On the Dauntless, Echo detected unusual activity near the hidden location of Earth. Captain, multiple energy signatures converging on Sol. Estimated time to contact, 2 days. Mira's expression hardened. So they couldn't wait for peace. She turned to her crew. Signal all Terran ships. We move. Coordinates locked. Jump in 30 seconds. Mira looked at the stars one last time before the jump. Let's bring our people home. The fleet roared to life. Thousands of ships vanished into hyperspace. A storm of light racing across the galaxy. When they emerged, the sight before them took everyone's breath away. Where Earth should have been, there was light. A swirling barrier of energy shimmered like a silver ocean, hiding the planet within. "Is that the shield?" a crew member whispered. "Confirmed," said Echo. "Temporal phase barrier active. Estimated power levels far beyond known technology." Mira's voice was soft with awe. "They did it. They actually hid Earth. But before they could celebrate, alarms blared. Multiple hostiles inbound, Council warships. Dozens of massive alien vessels dropped out of hyperspace, surrounding the human fleet. The stars filled with weapons fire, and the war began again. Explosions lit up the void. Human ships fought with precision, moving like one living organism. Old machines, yes, but their crews fought with fire and faith. Mira's voice echoed across the comms. "Hold the line! Protect the gate at all costs." Echo's tone grew urgent. "Captain, enemy flagship charging unknown weapon. Power levels critical. Target it," Mira ordered. "Weapon locked." Firing. A blinding flash filled the darkness as the Vengeance fired its plasma lance. The enemy flagship erupted in flame, but more ships kept coming. "Echo, how long until the gate opens?" Mira shouted. 1 minute. The human fleet fought harder, ships forming a defensive ring around the shimmering barrier. One by one, vessels were torn apart, but none retreated. Echo's voice grew louder. 30 seconds. Mira gritted her teeth.
"For Earth!"
10, 9, 8. The gate exploded with light. A burst of energy tore through space. Beautiful, blinding, unstoppable. Council ships were thrown back as the light expanded outward. When it cleared, the fleet fell silent. And there, in the center of the glowing field, stood Earth, whole, bright, alive. Tears filled Mira's eyes. "Home," she whispered. Echo's tone was calm, almost emotional. "Transmission from the surface, Captain." "It's Earth Command," a voice came through, steady and human. "Welcome home, Dauntless." "We've been waiting," Mira smiled. "Then let's finish what we started." Behind her, the fleet turned toward Earth, humanity's fortress reborn. Across the galaxy, the Council watched in silence. For the first time in 3 centuries, Earth was back, and the countdown had reached 0. But deep inside the Council's command core, Thren's secret plan activated. A weapon hidden in the shadows of a dying star came online. The war was not over. It was only beginning. "We remember," whispered every human ship. And now so will they. The light of Earth still shimmered like a dream across the dark sky. For the first time in 300 years, humanity stood beneath the shadow of its own blue world again. But peace never lasts long when old enemies are near and older secrets hide among friends. Inside the Dauntless, Captain Mira Reyes stood on the bridge, staring at the planet. She could see the surface through the shield. Cities rebuilt, oceans glowing with energy lines, satellites orbiting in perfect formation. "It's beautiful," whispered Lieutenant Harris. Mira nodded slowly. "Yes, but something feels off." Echo's soft digital voice broke the silence. "Captain, multiple signals detected near the planet's magnetic field. Unknown origin." "Show me," Mira ordered. A holographic display appeared, faint dots flickering near the edge of the shield, like shadows waiting. "Possible stealth ships," Echo said. "They're not Council signatures," Mira frowned. Then who are they? Hours later, the fleet began landing operations. Dropships launched toward the surface, carrying engineers, soldiers, and historians. Everyone wanted to touch home again, but in the lower decks of the Dauntless, someone else was preparing for something very different. Commander Rylan Cole, Mira's second-in-command, moved quietly through the maintenance corridor. He tapped his wrist console. The hidden screen flashed with alien symbols. A distorted voice replied in his ear, "Is the weapon in position?" Rylan's jaw tightened. "Almost. The captain suspects nothing." "Good. When the shield opens for re-entry, you will release the signal. The core will overload. Earth must not rise again." Rylan hesitated for a second. Just a second. Then he whispered, "Understood." On the bridge, Echo's sensors continued scanning. "Captain, internal diagnostics show energy spikes in the reactor section." Mira turned sharply. "Spikes? Why wasn't I informed sooner?" "They began 30 seconds ago." "Pattern indicates manual override." Mira's heart raced. "Who's on duty down there?" "Commander Cole." Mira grabbed her sidearm and ran. The corridors were filled with noise. Engineers celebrating, soldiers cheering, none of them knowing what was coming. She reached the reactor bay doors. The metal walls glowed faintly with blue light, and alarms flickered red. "Cole!" she shouted. Rylan turned from the console. His face was calm, almost peaceful. "Mira," he said softly, "you shouldn't be here. What are you doing?" she demanded. He sighed. "Saving us from ourselves." Echo's voice came through Mira's earpiece. "Captain, I detect an encoded signal linking to an external relay. It's transmitting through the shield barrier." Mira raised her weapon. "Cole, stop this! You're transmitting to the Council." Rylan's expression twisted with pain. "You don't understand. The Council promised peace, safety. Earth's power is too dangerous. If it wakes, it will destroy everything." Mira shook her head. "You think they'll let us live after this?" "You've been fooled." He hesitated, but his hand moved back toward the console. "Echo!" Mira shouted. "Lock down the reactor!" Access blocked. "He has command priority." Mira stepped closer. "Rylan, look at me. You've fought beside me for years. You've seen what humans can do when we stand together." Rylan's eyes filled with conflict. "That's what scares them, Mira. That's what scares me." The ship shook violently. On the main display, a massive energy surge began building inside the core. Echo's voice turned urgent. "Critical overload in 2 minutes." Mira lunged forward. Cole drew his sidearm. The two stood face to face, weapons raised. "Don't make me do this," she said. He hesitated again. "Just long enough." Mira fired. The blast hit his shoulder, throwing him back against the console. Sparks exploded. The reactor chamber roared with energy. Cole fell to the floor, bleeding but alive. He whispered weakly, "It's too late." Mira ran to the controls, her fingers flying across the panel. "Echo, reroute core sequence to auxiliary containment." "Working. 50%, 60. The lights dimmed and the roar grew louder. Mira shouted over the noise, "Now, Echo! Containment active." The trembling stopped. Smoke filled the room. The core stabilized. Barely. Mira knelt beside Cole. He looked up at her with fading eyes. "I thought I was saving us," he murmured. She nodded sadly. "Maybe you were, but you forgot who we are." He tried to smile. "Humanity always surprises me." Then he was gone. On the bridge, the crew watched as the reactor readings returned to normal. "Core stabilized, Captain," Echo reported. "But the external transmission was sent." Mira's eyes darkened. "What did it send?" "Coordinates. Earth's exact location." The bridge fell silent. Every officer knew what that meant. The Council, and every enemy watching, now knew where humanity's home truly was. Mira looked out the viewport at Earth, glowing, alive, unaware of what was coming. "Prepare all ships for defense," she said quietly. "They'll come for us now." "Affirmative," Echo replied. The calm voice hesitated a moment before adding, "Captain, humanity has survived worse." Mira's voice was cold and steady. "Then let's remind them why." Far away in the heart of Council space, alarms lit up across the command chambers. Thren smiled as the coordinates appeared on his screen. At last, he hissed. The human homeworld. The war drums began again, and deep beneath Earth's surface, ancient machines stirred to life, as if they had been waiting for this moment. The betrayal had begun. The final storm was coming. They wanted peace, Mira whispered. We'll give them remembrance. The stars over Earth burned brighter than ever before. But they were not alone. Dozens of alien fleets, the combined power of the Council, filled the dark sky, their weapons charged, their engines glowing red. They had come for one purpose, to finish what they started centuries ago, and this time humanity was ready. Inside the command deck of the Dauntless, Captain Mira Reyes stood before the great viewing window. Below her, Earth shone like a blue gem behind its shimmering defense shield. Around her, thousands of human ships formed tight formations, old warships repaired, new crafts forged from hidden shipyards. Echo's voice broke the silence. Captain, enemy fleet count exceeds 3,000 vessels. Weapons hot, Mira nodded slowly. Then this is it. Orders? She looked around at her crew, faces tired, scarred, but proud. Same as always, she said quietly. We hold the line. The Council fleet began to move. Massive dreadnoughts opened fire first, beams of blue energy slamming into Earth's shield. The barrier rippled but held strong. Echo's reading spiked. Shield integrity at 87% and holding. Return fire, Mira ordered. The human fleet answered with fury. Thousands of missiles, plasma lances and kinetic rounds filled the void. Explosions tore across the stars. Alien ships shattered one after another, but for every ship they destroyed, 2 more appeared. The sky was on fire. Down on Earth, deep within the planet's crust, something ancient began to awaken. Massive machines, buried since the first wars, powered up one by one. Their cores glowed with the same blue energy as the shield above. Inside a mountain bunker, Earth Command activated the final protocol. Project Dawn, online. A signal shot into the sky, straight toward the Dauntless. Echo received it first. Captain, incoming transmission from Earth Command. Priority Omega, patch it through. The voice of an older woman filled the bridge, calm, strong, familiar. This is Admiral Sato of Earth Command. Captain Reyes. Welcome home. Mira's eyes widened. Admiral, we thought you were gone. Not gone, waiting. The planet itself has been preparing for this day. What do you mean? We've built a weapon beneath the surface, not to destroy, but to end the war. You must protect the signal relay until activation completes. How long? 7 minutes. Mira took a deep breath. Then 7 minutes is all we need. The battle raged harder. Council dreadnoughts pushed forward, unleashing wave after wave of energy blasts. Human ships fell, some in silence, some still firing until the end. Echo, status. Fleet down to 62% capacity. But formation is holding. Earth shield at 73%. Mira gritted her teeth. We hold, no one passes. She looked at her crew. Tell every ship, this is for home. Her words echoed across the fleet. For Earth! At the edge of the battlefield, Thren watched from his flagship Oblivion. His voice was full of hate. End them. Now. A colossal cannon extended from the ship's hull, gathering dark energy. Target, Earth's core. Echo detected it instantly. Captain, enemy superweapon charging. Impact in 2 minutes, Mira's heart pounded. If that weapon fires, Earth is finished. She turned to her crew. All ships, focus fire on the flagship. Human vessels dove through enemy lines, weaving between blasts, cutting through cruisers and frigates. The Dauntless led the charge, its engines blazing. Missiles screamed through the void. Plasma beams hit their mark. Still, the Oblivion's weapon continued to charge. Echo's tone changed, urgent. Energy peak detected. 1 minute, Mira's eyes locked on the massive ship. We're out of time. Echo, overload the reactor. Captain, that will destroy the Dauntless. I know. Her voice was calm, steady. Prepare to transfer command to fleet control. Confirmed. Goodbye, Captain. Mira smiled softly. Not goodbye, just home. The Dauntless sped forward, faster, brighter, a streak of light tearing through the stars. Enemy ships tried to stop her, but she didn't slow. The crew stayed at their stations, fearless. As the Oblivion's weapon reached full power, Mira whispered, "For humanity." And then, impact. A blinding explosion consumed both ships. The shockwave rippled across space, shaking every vessel nearby. Silence. Then Echo's voice echoed through the fleet, faint but alive. Signal relay protected. Earth command. Activation complete. From the surface, a beam of pure white light shot upward, piercing the clouds and reaching into orbit. It spread like a sunrise across space, touching every human ship. "Project Dawn complete," said Admiral Sato's voice. Wherever the light touched, damaged ships healed. Weapons recharged. Systems reignited. The human fleet, broken seconds ago, was alive again. Across the galaxy, the Council fleet faltered. Their weapons failed. Their engines went dark. The light from Earth grew brighter, forming a massive wave that swept outward. Not destructive, cleansing. Every hostile system, every weapon aimed at Earth, shut down. In the calm that followed, the sky cleared. Earth was safe. On the surface, people looked up and saw the stars again. For the first time in centuries, the sky was peaceful. Admiral Sato watched from her command center. The Dauntless did her duty. Echo's voice replied softly through the speakers. "Captain Reyes. Her consciousness lives within the network. She is part of Earth now." Sato smiled sadly. Then she truly came home. Days later, the Council sent a message of surrender. Solarin's voice was quiet. "We were wrong. Humanity endures." Admiral Sato replied, "Humanity doesn't endure. Humanity remembers and rebuilds." And so it ended. The rusting ship that started it all became a symbol of survival, of return, of defiance. A reminder to every world: you can destroy our cities, you can bury our history, but you will never erase our spirit, because humanity always comes back.